All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. Welcome to the Officiating Recruitment Forum and sponsored by the Minnesota State High School League and the Minnesota Youth Athletic Services. And really excited about the partnership that we have with them to promote officiating opportunities both at the high school and youth levels. So welcome to our forum tonight. You're going to have an opportunity to hear from some experienced officials who will tell you about their interest in officiating, how they came to it, why they stick around, and why they enjoy it so much, and why it's an important part of their life. So we're going to hear from them. I'm going to be presenting on some pieces relative to Minnesota State High School League registration and steps to becoming an official and benefits and so forth. And Carolyn Dirksen from the Minnesota Youth Athletic Services will be speaking to those aspects from the MYS and where they would have you come in there. So before we get started with those speakers and these pieces, I'm going to turn it over to Laura Mackentoon. She's our director of technology and communication and so forth with the league. I'm going to turn it over to her with some housekeeping and logistical pieces. Laura?
Thanks, Jason, and good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us. Just a couple of logistics pieces as we move through the night. We really appreciate when people have cameras on. It helps so much to know who we're speaking to, cater our message a bit to who's in the room with us. So thanks for having cameras on. If that's something that you're able to do this evening, please make sure that your microphone stays muted. Chat is a great spot tonight. There are a number of folks, both from the league and MYAS, who can jump in and answer some questions. And we always get a group of experienced officials who also come to these nights just to be around and help out in any way they can. So keep that chat window open. And as questions come up, please drop those in there. Someone will jump in and help you with those. Or we may say that's coming up yet as we move. And then finally, throughout the night, I'll be dropping some resources into chat also. We have a number of resources available for you, both a page that was built by the forum for this forum. We have resources on the State High School League website and on the MYAS website. So as people are talking through things, I'll try to drop some of those links into chat too for you either to save or use as you go through after tonight. Jason, I'm going to turn it back to you to run through an agenda quick and then get moving.
All right, thanks, Laura. So our first speaker tonight will be Tim Layton. He's my colleague at the Minnesota State High School League, but he's also a 30-some year basketball official and has done soccer and softball in the past as well. So comes from a variety of sport backgrounds relative to officiating, and really a passionate promoter of high school officiating and what it brings to your life, and the benefits and skill sets that you can take from becoming a high school and youth official. So I'm going to turn it over to Tim to speak and lead us off here. So Tim.
All right, very good. Thank you, Jason, and good evening, everyone, and an additional welcome to the Minnesota State High School League's Officiating Forum. I get the honor and the privilege to be able to visit with you as you are about to take these initial steps in your journey. I get to share information with you to learn more about what it takes to navigating these initial steps into your journey as an official. I'd like you to sit back for just a minute or so, couple of minutes or so. I'll share some information and some thoughts with you. But with the start of a new school year, you may have noticed a new campaign that the Minnesota State High School League has centered around officials. It goes something like this. The game is calling. Become an official. Your presence here tonight, that means that you have heard that call in some form or another. While your reasons to answer that call may vary, you didn't choose to hit disconnect when that call came in. For that, we are absolutely grateful for that. You chose to answer that call. You did so with courage and conviction because you wanted to continue taking those initial steps. Many of you in this forum tonight, you may have some anxious thoughts on why you answered that call, but the group of clinicians that are assembled here from the league and our partners with the MYAS, we are here to help you to navigate your journey and to take those next few steps. Again, some might ask why you answered the call to officiate. Some of the answers may vary. Some of them may go something like this. Is it your opportunity to give back to the game? Maybe it's a tribute to the positive high school experience that you had. Do you want an avocation where you can exercise and get paid for it? Do you want to make new friends? Do you want to see new places? Whatever the reason, regardless of why you're here, the member schools of the Minnesota State High School League are grateful that you chose to answer that call. And do you know what? The games that have given us so much are calling you to call back, to come back and make a difference. So let's look at what's on your checklist right now. We know that you've answered the call. Check. You've continued by logging in to that Zoom meeting. Check that off too. Now, while those first steps are calming, you may be wondering, what next? There must be a mixture of excitement and angst. Am I right? Let's keep that momentum going, okay? Regardless of the sport you choose to officiate, let's keep moving forward in your preparation because, like all strong officials, we want to be on top of things. As you listen to the fantastic presenters this evening, think about the next item that will be on your checklist. The league and the MYAS. We recommend that to-do item on that list is establishing connections. I encourage you at some point during this meeting to take a look around the screen and remember some of the names, remember some of the faces that you see. It is a very strong bet that you will work with someone who is on this meeting at some point in your career. The common bond that you are always going to have is that you began your officiating journey right here on this night through the same recruiting forum. Now, in officiating, establishing professional connections will continue as you journey on. And it'll introduce you to an incredible network of individuals and fantastic resources that will guide you and support you along the way. Here's some things to just keep in mind. Registering with the Minnesota State High School League, that connects you with thousands of officials, clinicians, administrators that want to see you succeed. We want to see you succeed. We want to support you along the way. Now, joining a local association is instrumental for you, is your growth as an official, and is your avenue to be assigned games. Games don't just magically appear. You have to get connected. You have to join in officials associations. That's the origin of where you will get assignments. In joining this association, we encourage you to create a connection with your assigner. That will ensure a steady and strong path in your officiating journey. Establishing connections along the way with others will also help guide that successful journey. Networking, we've heard that in our professional lives. It's important too here in the avocation of officiating. That will help create relationships and will also help guide your journey. The important thing as we close here, I urge you to be patient. Creating connections doesn't happen at the click of your fingers or a quick toot of your whistle. Your success, it's going to come. Have a healthy and positive attitude and attend clinics. Listen to mentors, ask questions. And the best piece of advice I was given as a young official 33 years ago was to say yes as often as possible. If you have an opportunity come your way and you think you will learn from it, benefit from it, and an opportunity to give back, please say yes. Also stick with it. Keep smiling and have fun as you are about to embark on just this incredible journey through officiating. To all of you for being here tonight, I thank you. You've answered the call. And on behalf of the Minnesota State High School League and the more than 6,000 contest officials and judges, we are thrilled that you did. Thanks, everyone. Best wishes as you continue your journey. Jason, back to you.
Thanks, Tim. Obviously, Tim, very passionate about officiating and what it's brought to his life and career. And I would tell you that over the course of your career, you will meet many similar individuals who are equally passionate about what they do and giving back to the games that have given us so much over the years. Our next speaker, officiating voice, is going to be Lamar Sullivan. Lamar is a very experienced official, football and basketball over the last 20 some years. He started officiating basketball back in 2004 at the youth level before moving on to high school league events in the Suburban Officials Association, Gopher State, and then presently with Minneapolis Officials. He has worked a number of section finals in football and basketball, and most recently has worked 2 championship games in basketball, including one of those, I believe, a picture behind his shoulder. So he's very proud of that, and as he should be, one of our great ambassadors for officiating at the high school level. He's currently the mentor coordinator for football and basketball for Minneapolis Officials Association, and in the coming year will take over as president of that association. So great representative for MOA as well as the Minnesota State High School League. So we're going to hear from Lamar on his experience and what's brought him into officiating and why he continues to be involved. So Lamar, thank you and welcome.
Thanks, Jason. So, Jason alluded to the picture that I have in back of me. And the thing I'm proud of is my partners, Drew Sherber and Tony Schrefter. Those were, I consider them friends of mine who I met in officiating. The thing about officiating isn't about going out there, getting calls right, telling people what to do. What you'll find is it's the relationships. It's the relationships that you make with your fellow officials, with the players, with the, believe it or not, with the coaches, and as well as some of the fans. Some of those people I consider friends of mine now that weren't 18 years ago. I have a message chain on my phone that are all officials. Most of my friends now are officials. I started out in 2004. My kids played youth ball, basketball, and football, and so I decided to join the Minneapolis Park Board, where Gil Anderson and Frank White were there to teach me everything that I didn't know about basketball, which was a lot. And so my first basketball game that I officiated was my son's 10U basketball game. The referees didn't show up. They didn't have anybody there. So I went out there and everything went so fast. I mean, it's just, I was used to just concentrating on my team or on my son, and now I had to watch everything. And so it just went zip, 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 zip. Then I said, all right, once I got used to that, I decided to join MYS, where I started to do more games. Then a guy talked to me, said, hey, you're going to do football this year? Wilson Edwards. And so I ended up doing football with him in Chaska, Chanhassen. And one of the things that I always remembered was that the game was for the kids. And one of the proudest things I had was one of the Chaska parents said, my wife always enjoys when you and another friend of mine that I worked with, when you two are working, he said, because they know the kids are going to have fun. Because that's the bottom line. The kids are supposed to have fun. I decided to get into some high school basketball. So I joined Suburban and started to do 9th grade JV baskendball. Then I wanted to do more. I didn't think that I was getting as much mentoring as I could. And so I ended up joining Gopher State basketball, which is where I spent 10 years, which I learned the majority of the things I learned how to do properly. I learned from Gopher. And one of the things I've learned from one of the guys there, he said the best ability you can have as an official is availability. So when your assigner says, are you available for this date? Like Tim said, always say yes, be available. And so that's how I happened to start to get more games. And I have a brother that's been officiating for close to 40 years now. And the one thing he told me, he said, officiating isn't like playing. So where you always have to put your best players out on the floor if you want to win. Sometimes officials is about who you can depend on, or if Joe plays for the assigner's bowling team, he said, don't give up. If all of a sudden you're not getting the games that you think you should be getting, just keep working. So when I wasn't getting those games that I thought I should be getting, I remember what my brother said. He said, just keep working. And it ended up working out for me. I started to get slowly but surely, I started getting the trust of my assigner. But the thing about it is I had to do the work. 2 years in, I started to quit because I got tired of being yelled at by the coaches. I kept watching television and I saw that the coaches always yelled at the referees and they just nodded their head. And I thought that's what you were supposed to do. And then at 2 years, I said, I don't want to put up with that anymore. I had a ninth grade in a JV game where the fouls were 6-1. I had the flu, but I was working because we didn't have anybody. And the coach said, Ralph, the fouls are 6-1. You got to do something about it. And I said, okay. And then the very next game, the JV game, the same coach, both of these were Eastview and Egan. I still remember like it's yesterday. Then the JV coach said, Ralph, it's 6-1. You got to do something about it. Okay. And then so I said, that's enough. It was the last day of the season. I said, I'm not doing this anymore. Then I decided to go ahead, give it one more shot. But I said, I'm not going to let them yell at me anymore. If they say something stupid to me, then I'm going to respond. So the very next time I had a coach tell me, Ralph, it's 6 fouls to 1. I said, well, coach, you should tell your team to stop fouling. And he said, well, they're fouling just as much down at the other end as we are. I said, coach, that can't be true. Otherwise, the fouls wouldn't say 6-1. And he never spoke to me anymore, ever. But that was fine. The thing was, I learned that I could talk to coaches, and that was my quote unquote coming out thing. But I started to speak more respectfully. So when the next time I had a coach tell me, he said, Ralph, the fouls are 6-1. I said, coach, they're sitting in the zone. Your players are shooting a jump shot. You're playing man to man, and they're driving and they're getting contact. He said, oh, and then he told his team to start driving, and then the fouls changed. That's the thing. My school's been closed for 40 years, so I don't care who wins or loses. I just want to do the best job I could possibly do. Towards the end of my career, I started to watch film. There was a friend of mine, Dwayne Perry, that taught me about the value of watching film, and I'd watch film in basketball and football so I could make sure that I was in the proper positions to make calls. And the thing that I found that in asking coaches for the film to watch that, they get their respect for me went up another level, because most coaches just think we just throw those shirts on that we got from Foot Locker, although we changed them now with Minnesota High School League. But throw a Foot Locker shirt on and grab a whistle from Target or Walmart and go out there and just blow your whistle. And that's not true with the majority of us. Most of us work hard. We're into the rule book. We're watching film. And I had a group of people that watched film with me and went over the rules with me. And that's why even to my last game, which this little guy, on my screen is to my left shoulder, taught me one more thing about officiating that I hadn't came across in my 18 years. We were watching the clock, and he's up there doing his count. And I said, what are you doing, Tony? He said, I'm trying to time my count to the clock. And I had never thought of that. So of course I learned that on my last game, but this is something that I get to teach other people going forward, because as Jason said, I'm the mentor coordinator for Minneapolis officials. And I love officiating. I love seeing people work and progress and get better. I'm glad this picture is like it is because you can't see me, but you can see my two partners. Good partners matter, and trusting partners matter. My football crew, we made the state tournament for the first time last year, and I was so excited. I called them at 11:30 at night, and I was more excited for them than I was for me making the state tournament previously in basketball. It's the relationships. In football, if you officiate football, it's those 5 guys on a Friday night. You're driving, half hour, an hour, or in my case, 3 hours driving to section games because my white hat loved to drive. And it's all the stuff that you learn about other people and people that you may not even had come across ever in your life if it wasn't for officiating this. And some of these guys I consider are great friends of mine. I've worked with Jason. He didn't remember it. He probably still doesn't remember it, but I told him about the playoff game that we worked, Totino against Minneapolis Henry. I worked with Tim and Carolyn, who we'll hear later, to representing MYS. I worked with her. So I've had the good fortune of working with some great individuals. And I'll tell you, it's well worth it. You'll end up working all year round. You'll love doing it. You'll love the people that you work with. And like Jason said, I'm with MOA. I'll be the president of MOA, of course, after the end of this season, but I'm the mentor coordinator now. If you have any questions, please contact me. And I'll turn this back over to Jason.
Thanks, Lamar. I do remember our playoff game today, and I'd get my wife on here to prove it because she says I remember every game, but I can't remember the grocery list or anything important like that. So, it's for sure the relationships. All the people that were in my wedding were people I officiated with. Still see those people and talk to them. And of course, now after being in officiating for 25 years, for sure, almost all of my friends are officials. So, thanks, Lamar, sharing your story. And, I'm sure that several of these folks will be able to resonate with that once they get started with this great avocation. So I'm going to share some slides specific to Minnesota State High School League stuff, as well as MYS, and we'll kick it over to Carolyn when we get to those slides so she can speak to those pieces. And of course, if you do have any questions or anything specific to your sport or your part of the state or whatever it is, throw that in the chat. We do have many experienced officials on this call tonight who can speak to those things as we're going. So okay, hopefully we can see that okay. All right, so I want to talk about Brett Carlson for a little bit. He's the community education director with North Branch Area Public Schools, and he's kind of the main driver for this event. He came to me several years ago and said, we should do, an officiating recruitment type event and really focus on college kids. At least that was the focus at that time. And we did it in person at Tartan High School a few years ago. And, of course, Brett and I worked really hard on it, and we had, I think, 20 some individuals that came, and, Brett was kind of disappointed about it. And I was too, to a degree. But Becky Luer, who was the longtime AD at North Branch and is a volleyball official, talked to Brett about it, and she said, well, if you have one more official than you had yesterday, then it was successful. And we've really used that philosophy to really guide us in this event. And Brett has pushed to keep doing this. And obviously with the pandemic, moving a lot of things into the virtual realm, which I think has really helped us to meet and connect with a lot more folks around the state in a number of sports and get them the information they need to get started in officiating. So I want to thank Brett especially for his willingness to push on this and make it a reality. So we have a number of individuals in our office that support and around the state that support the officiating program. It's not just me, not just Tim or Laura, but Pam is a huge factor in the success of our program. Regional state coordinators, they are the go-to people in their particular sport, the experts in the rules and the mechanics and philosophies. And then Tim mentioned associations earlier. Obviously, a major source of training and education and development. Our charter clinicians work with those associations, and then we have observers in a number of sports that get out and take a look at officials and provide them with feedback and information. So, great resources out there in this state. And as someone who's traveled throughout the country for officiating related events or games, I would put Minnesota officiating right up there near the top. And a major reason for that is that our associations and our top officials are just really committed to giving back to new officials, to their sport, to their association, and providing that outstanding leadership. So know that you'll be in a great spot if you do decide to move forward with officiating, either with us, with the high school league, and also with MYS. Some reasons to become an official. Obviously, the reasons are a lot longer than the bullet points that we have on this list, but these are some of the major reasons that people cite when they become an official and why they stick around as an official. The relationships, we talked about that with Tim, with Lamar, with me. You'll meet a number of great people and you'll have great partners, and those relationships become really strong over time because you're in games, you're in events that are intense. Maybe there's some conflict, and you're working through those things with those people, and your relationships really build as a result of that. Giving back to the game, having fun while doing it. People forget that aspect of it, of becoming an official and staying an official. It's fun. It's fun to get up and run around, and it brings you back to those high school days when you were participating in those sports and activities. Fitness, obviously, getting a little bit of money to run around is not a bad thing. I did basketball for quite a number of years. Took this past season off from basketball, and now I have to actually commit to fitness opportunities, where before I really didn't have to do that because I had that for me involved in officiating. So certainly a nice benefit for officiating. Lifelong skill development. So things you learn as an official can help you in your work life, in your personal, your family life. Conflict management. Obviously, as a parent of 4 kids, I use those skills quite a bit. And I would also say vice versa, that when you are a working professional, the skills that you learn in that realm will help you in officiating. And then obviously a little bit of money to go with it does not hurt things. And so certainly some nice positives there. That list is not exhaustive, but a number of good reasons to become and stay an official. So I'm going to turn it over to Carolyn at this point. She's going to talk about the MYS and some of the pieces that they do. And we work in conjunction with them with a lot of things. And so I would tell you that you will find a place for you, and you'll find support both in the MYS and with us. So Carolyn, I'll let you take the MYS pieces.
Awesome. Thanks, Jason. And just I want to welcome everyone. I'm so excited for all of you to get started in officiating. I hope you felt just the great energy that Tim, Lamar, and both Jason have all brought to how much we love officiating and how much fun we can have. And so with my role with MYS, I'm the Assistant Director of Officiating, and we look to help officials get started. We look for everyone to get started with grades 3 through 8 and just getting your foot in the door with officiating. The sports that we do service are basketball and baseball primarily, but we've also this year have taken a dive into doing some football and also some wrestling as well, as we've been doing that. And we're always looking for more sports to expand on. And so the best part is with the Minnesota Youth Athletic Services and our partnership with the Minnesota State High School League is that we are joining forces and also wanting to eliminate duplicate efforts by also joining Arbiter Sports. So then when you do register and become an official, you'll have one site to go to, which is nice, and that you won't be having to update or register for one thing. Hopefully our registration will be up and running by next week. So we're super excited about that. And we're just excited to get you guys started, especially we know we have basketball coming up, and it's just a great way to get started in officiating, get your feet wet. I can also share the first time I officiated. I showed up to the gym in a red shirt, orange lanyard, and a peanut whistle, which probably everyone's ears really hurt after that game. And they probably said, I do not want that official to come back. But you know what? It's been such a great journey, even for myself, as being a basketball and also fairly new into football as well. And we're just here to help you guys out. And so we want to help you guys provide the resources to even just getting started. We'll connect you with assigners. We have 6 different ones for basketball, and we'll get you connected with them and just learning how to officiate. And we have some really great things. Tony Shrepford couldn't be on here today. He officiates probably 4 or 5 different sports, so he's out officiating right now. And we just want to share our experiences, the things that we've learned, and how we can help you out. And we want to also be that stepping stone to help you once you get started in the youth side. We want to get you over to the high school side as well. So I would encourage all of you to, if you're first time official, is reach out to us. I see some people on the call. It's so great to see 93 people on this call. So I'm super excited for all of you. I don't know if you guys can feel my energy, but I'm excited for all of you to get started and just carry on this great application and just to continue to do this. So I would encourage you to get started. If you don't know where to start, reach out to us. We're happy to help get you started, and whether that's at the youth level or getting started right away in the high school and being able to officiate high school games throughout the week. And then on the weekend, come over to us and still to practice at your craft and to get better. And so, like I said, with a lot of this, I have mentioned as well some of the sports that we do service. And like I said, our basketball training will be coming up soon. So we're hoping to get that started for all of you to register. And then also one thing new this year is that Tony and I are going to be having evaluators go out to games and just help you guys out, give you some positive feedback, give you some things to work on. I think that's one thing. As an official, that's so great when you have someone else helping you out, is that they want to be able to learn or show you the mistakes that they may have learned in the past and how they can help you not make those same mistakes. So that's the best part about officials, is that we are officials working for officials and just wanting to help see you grow. I know a lot of you can have different aspirations or goals, and everyone's going to be different. So that's also one thing. Enjoy your process. Everyone's going to be, some people might have aspirations to continue on to go into college, and some might just be really happy at where they're at, being the best youth official. I think someone told me that when I first got started, and that has really stuck with me as well. So I would definitely say just enjoy your process, and also get registered with the Minnesota State High School League as well.
Perfect. Thanks, Carolyn. I would say first of all, having observers or people helping out at youth games, I mean, that's an unbelievable development. I would tell you, when most of us on this call that have been in officiating, when we first started, there was none of that. It was, kind of good luck and hope it works out kind of a thing. And I feel that we're in position both at the high school level and with the MYS. We've never been in a better position to assist you in your journey, as Tim talked about, and keep you in it with training and positive connections. And so I know that Carolyn and Lamar, are some of our better basketball people, but I would tell you that they're great ambassadors for officiating in general. And so if basketball is not your game, no problem. We have all sorts of people who can help you out with whatever it is. We had our dance team and gymnastics preseason meetings in the last week, and they're looking for folks too. And so if that's where your interest lies, we have people who can get you connected in any of those particular sports. And so as you see here on this slide, just what we do at the league, promoting officiating is a desired avocation. That's what we're doing tonight. Registration of officials, observation program, training and development, so that you feel that you're receiving those resources you need. We're a liaison to those officials associations that Tim mentioned and Lamar as well. And then also select officials for our state tournaments that we have. As far as officiating as an avocation and what we do, teaching the fundamentals of the rules, mechanics, and communication is really critical to you being successful as an official. And so we feel that we need to give you those resources and those opportunities to do that. And we do that through online rules modules, training clinics, information throughout the season, connections with mentors, because that's a really important piece. And with Lamar as the mentorship coordinator with MOA, obviously their association feels it's important as well, that if you have relationships with people, you're more likely to stick around. And so we feel that's important to continue with that. And then obviously working with our schools, and MYS does the same, working with their events to make sure that it's a safe environment for everybody, officials included. And we promote it as well through social media to say, hey, here's some great opportunities in officiating and thank you for what you do. Now, I'm not sure that showing a football crew in a blizzard really gets you interested in officiating football, but or a track meet for that matter in a blizzard. But I would tell you that all the people in these pictures enjoy what they do, and it's great to see them recognized through our feeds. And we have other ways of promoting officiating as well. The Officiating Recruitment portal, that's a piece that Laura has helped us develop over time. Pretty much every resource that you can think of, frequently asked questions, association contacts, and so forth, arbiter registration link, all of that can be found under the officials and judges section of the MSHSL.org website. So you can go there and find out the answers to many of your questions. Of course, as Carolyn mentioned, please contact us or contact the MYS. We will help you through this entire process. So we don't want you to get frustrated and quit the process. Call us. We're happy to take you through that. We do have 6,000 officials and judges, so quite a number of people that go through these steps, but we're here to answer your questions that you do have. If you are ready to register or move forward with that, we will get that information to you after tonight's call as well. We are recording this forum tonight, so we'll share that as well. But we do everything, registration, eligibility items, all through Arbiter Sports. It's $30 for Sport 1, and then $15 for Sport 2 and beyond for first and second year officials. So that's where you would pay that fee. Your requirements to work varsity contests during the regular season would be a general officials module, a sport specific rules presentation, exam, 80% open book in every exam, concussion module, and that's required by state law, and then a background check that we're working in concert with MYS on as well. Again, via Arbiter, we'll send that link out. You can also purchase additional items when you are going through that process through Arbiter. Again, everything you need would be there on Arbiter Sports. The background check, we require that of all new officials, and then we recheck every official every 5 years. And that's why your birth date and social security number is required as part of the registration process. And just know that those things are securely stored, and they go through all of the financial checks that websites need to do in order to store that kind of information. Concussion piece, every 3 years, you have to take that. This is the 3rd year of our rotation. So at the end of this year, every official in our system will be wiped clean, and they will have to watch the new course beginning in the fall of 2023. So just know that will be there. Once you've watched it once, you do not need to watch that presentation again. The rules presentation are specific by sport. As far as the sport specific ones, there is a general officiating one that covers information for every sport. And we talked about the exam, varies in length, 30 to 100 questions. It's open book, 80% to pass, and you get 2 opportunities to pass that exam. And we encourage even our veteran officials, we encourage them to get together with other officials, have a rules group, get together at, someone's house or at a restaurant, whatever, and go through the exam. That's how you learn the rules, because you talk through the question, you act it out if you have to. That will help you learn the rules, because I think a lot of folks, when they get into officiating, feel that I played the game, I know the rules. I think you find out that that's not quite the case, when you get started. But we encourage people to work together with varsity experienced people to go through those rules and go through the exam. When you register with us brand new this year, you'd get a rules book. You'd get either a case book or mechanics manual, depending on the sport, rule changes, points of emphasis, and then general league info. And again, most of that is also available on Arbiter. And then we do rules books every other year. So if you come back to us next year, which we certainly hope that you would keep your rules book from the previous year. And then every other year you get a new rules book. We have the kind of the updated numbers with the pandemic. We saw a drop like a lot of organizations did, but we're hoping that people will come back. And a big part of that is people that are on the call tonight, taking that first step towards becoming an official. We feel that providing training and curriculum and to staff development opportunities for officials is critical to you getting better. And the theory is, if you get better at this craft, you're going to have less challenges in your games and you're going to enjoy it more. And so we feel that those resources should be out there. So we do quite a bit of that. And you'll see that once you register. In addition to that, training and development throughout the year, football and basketball. We've done that for a number of years, but I would tell you, we also sent out information in soccer this fall. Wrestling has done some stuff with Matt Boss, and just looking to increase that training and development all the time. We have those training clinics in 18 activities, and then we also have Zoom clinics as well. So you have an opportunity to learn and develop without leaving the comfort of your couch. So pretty good opportunity for people to learn and develop via the virtual format as well. Tim talked about the associations. We have roughly 100 unique associations across the state, and they also conduct training and development opportunities for their officials. And so between us and the associations, you really have a good opportunity to receive mentorship and connections and development. You don't have to, just going back to that, you don't have to join an association, but we really encourage that you do if there is one in your sport or area of the state, because they provide so many resources and opportunities to get more assignments and games and those kind of things. So we really encourage you to do that. We know that equipment's a startup cost. It varies depending on the sport. Obviously, baseball and hockey, you're going to have to buy a little bit more gear, and that's going to be a bigger cost. Where other sports, perhaps it's, take gymnastics. If you already have business casual type dress, you're probably going to be in good shape. You don't even need to buy that red shirt and tea whistle that Carolyn had at her first game. So there's it varies by sport, but I would tell you that a number of associations, as well as officiating apparel dealers have startup packages where they discount uniforms and equipment for new people, and associations many times will collect, gently used or whatever equipment or apparel, and then we'll give that to new officials to help them get started. I know that this is the most important slide, the one you couldn't wait for. Insurance, I know it's a thing that no one really thinks about until they need it. And I would tell you that this is a pretty good perk of being an official registered with the league, that there is some supplemental liability and medical coverage above and beyond your primary coverage. And that covers you in any sport below the professional level that the league sanctions. So if you go and work a basketball game for Carolyn and get hurt, you're covered by our policy because basketball is a sport that we cover. If you go work rugby, I can't help you because rugby is not a Minnesota State High School League sport. So just know that that's a benefit. There's also NASO and other entities that provide additional opportunities for insurance and development. And then, once you go through all of these processes, we of course encourage you to start working games, say yes. And scrimmages are a great opportunity to learn and make mistakes without it, being in that game environment where, now things are going to start counting for real. So work scrimmages, you can get paid. Veterans will help guide you, so we encourage you to do that if you have an opportunity. And then we're off and running with the season. Say yes, work as many 10th grade, JV, 9th grade, youth, whatever you can, realizing that you have families, you have work, you can't be Tony and work 6 nights a week. We get that. That's the great thing about officiating is that it can be tailored to your schedule and your life. If you can work 2 nights a week, great. If you can work more than that, great. If you can only work once, great. We're happy to have you with the schedule that it works. And, connect with people like Lamar, get a mentor, somebody who's been there, done that, made many mistakes, and can help you through and say, here's all the mistakes I made. Don't do what I did. And you'll be in a better place than I was when I first started. So we encourage you to connect with a mentor and experienced official to help you. And then just keep looking at video and looking at the rule book and keep asking questions. That's how you're going to get better and enjoy this avocation a lot more. And that's all the steps and pieces to both become a registered eligible official with the league and also the benefits to becoming an official. And know that we have many veteran officials on this call tonight as well, and associations will receive all of your information and your sports and where you live so that they can reach out to you and help you along with this process. So obviously, as Tim said at the outset, the first step was coming on tonight to find out more. That was the first step, and we appreciate that you were willing to join us tonight. There was other things you probably could be doing, and yet you chose to spend it with us. We appreciate that very much. And we believe that if you take that next step and get with an association and join MYS and the league, you won't regret it. Great people that are involved in this avocation, as you've seen tonight. And there's a lot more of them. With 6,000 people, that you're bound to find a very large number of great people. And I think you'll find that when you get started. So we are going to hang on for a few minutes, whatever, if anyone has questions, you can certainly put them in the chat if you feel more comfortable with that as well. And then again, we will send the recording out and then other supporting information to you in the next week or so. And I would open it up to either Laura or Pam if they have anything that they'd like to address as well.
Jason, I see a couple of questions in the chat that I think for you and Carolyn to address. The first one talks about registering for MYS. Carolyn, I think you alluded to that was coming soon.
Yes, we're hoping to have that all up and running by next week. So hopefully the 15th, I believe, is our goal, which I know is a Saturday. But we're hoping by then that we'll have everything up and running for everyone to get started.
And again, by both the league and MYS using Arbiter, there'll be some connections and ties into that as you get in.
Right. You'll go through the registration process on both their Arbiter and our Arbiter relative to, the payment piece, but there'll be communication between our two systems to avoid duplications of certain things like the concussion module, the background check, so that those things, once you do it once we take care of it on one place, you've taken care of it in both. You'll still have specific things to the league or to MYS, such as like the online rules module or exam or those kind of things. Maybe those will be specifics by sport. And of course, if it's a sport that the MYS doesn't cover, you would be doing all of your pieces, through us. So look for more communication from MYS, and we'll send out some of that to our contacts relative to MYS registration. There's a question in here about, are you looking for soccer officials? And I don't know what number is higher than infinity percent, but that's the number I'm going to go with. Yes. Always looking for soccer officials. We're looking for officials in every sport in every part of the state, I would tell you, but soccer has struggled a little bit in the last few years, and so there's a definite need there. Let's see.
You see the one about age, Jason and Carolyn? I think that's something both of you can address from your organizations of how do we get some of those high school and college age kids in, and where might they start?
Yep. So I'll go there and then I'll come back up. So for varsity contests with the league, you need to be 18 or a high school graduate to work varsity contests. There is no age limit to work anything below that of the varsity level. So if you, like in my case, I started umpiring baseball when I was 12. I started basketball when I was 15, football when I was 17. The league didn't have a registration for those people at that time, so I was just working youth stuff. But we now have a student officials program where you complete the same requirements as our fully eligible varsity officials, which would be the modules, the exam. You can go to training clinics, but you also get insurance as part of that. The only thing we don't do with those officials is the background check, and we won't do that until they turn 18. But those officials can work JV contests, 10th grade, 9th grade, anything below that at the varsity level, and that's what they would register through with us. I would let Carolyn speak to the age piece or limits and so forth with MYS.
Yeah, so I mean, Jason kind of touched on it, especially like for baseball. I mean, we require you to be 3 years older than the grade that you're umpiring. So for an example, if like you're 13 years old, you can umpire a 10U game. So just throwing that as an example. And then for basketball, we do require you to be 16 years and older to work MYS traveling basketball events, just because then you're able to transfer, or you're able to drive to games. However, if you are under 16, so say if you're on like the 13, 14, or 15 years old, check out your local traveling association and see if you can get started in officiating in-house basketball, because that's also a great way to just even get started. And then once you do turn 16, so I've been getting a few emails about that as well. So say if you turn 16 in December, attend one of our clinics now, because then you can get all certified. And then once you turn 16, then you're able to start officiating.
On the 16 years old thing, I think of when I was working MYS tournaments at 16, and my parents said, you're not driving our car into the ground going to all these tournaments. You go get your own car. So, maybe the first parents in history to force their kid to get a car. Let's see. Certification test before applying. So I would say from a league perspective, and I would say the MYS is similar. You would register with us, which is the fee aspect, and go through the concussion module, consent to a background check, and then you wouldn't have anything that you need to do until right before the season. So, for example, if we're talking about basketball, the basketball online rules module, the exam, all those eligibility pieces would open up on the, I believe it's the 14th of November, or the 7th of November. I can't remember offhand, but anyways, it opens up, and then you have about 2 weeks to complete those pieces. And then if you complete them by the deadline, then you would be eligible to work varsity contests, even if it is your first year officiating. Obviously, we wouldn't, recommend that you go right into varsity. We'd recommend that you work some below varsity, but you would be eligible at that point. So you don't take a test or have to go through any of those kind of steps until right before the season would be starting. So, and I think Pam kind of covered that in her answer. And Pam kind of answered the question about time commitment. I would tell you, if you join an association in your area, especially, they're really good about, keeping you as close as they can in many cases to, where you work or where you live. And those kind of things can get worked out. Every once in a while, you're going to have to maybe travel a little bit further. And, in some cases, that's kind of paying your dues a little bit. But there was a time where I was heading to Wright County quite a bit, and that was just, part of the deal. But I would tell you, for the most part, associations do a really nice job of keeping you close. Yes, and the question about if you're interested in more than one sport, can you register for multiple at one time? Absolutely, 100%. And roughly 2,000 of those 6,000 officials work more than one sport. Including Lamar and Carolyn. So I would say absolutely, yes, you can. And you might be in a different association by sport, depending what it is. So just something to keep in mind on that. And keep in mind, passing the exam is a requirement for varsity competitions. If you don't pass the exam, you still can work JV, 10th grade, 9th grade games. That doesn't mean you can't officiate at all. Those are just the requirements for varsity eligibility. And then we talked about registering, and going through those pieces and then getting into practices or scrimmages. And there's a question about gymnastics. I would tell you, just connect with us. We'll connect you with our gymnastics coordinators. They are awesome and are really good about, connecting you with the right resources. So just touch base with us. We're happy to get you going there. For soccer people that you're interested now, I would tell you, you probably could call schools today and tell them I want to work your 10th grade games, and they'd hire you on the spot because there is a real need at the lower levels. As far as varsity stuff, you would register with us beginning in May, and then all the requirements, the tests and so forth would be open up in August, and then you would be ready to go for the fall season. And then if you aren't working USSF, I would also encourage that you connect with them as well for the youth side of things. And I think that's all the questions that I see in the chat. So one more question. You can register for softball anytime. You can register for any of the sports in the winter at this point. Nothing has opened as far as online rules modules, the exam, nothing's opened yet. So you can register for winter right now. You can register for spring. You can register for any sport right up until the test deadline in that sport. So if the test deadline is November 30th, you have all the way until then to register. New officials do not have a late fee when you register. So if you choose to register, with a week to go before the end of the season or the end of the eligibility period, you can do that. And there is no late fee, but we would encourage, if you are interested and ready, we would encourage you to begin the registration process as soon as you're ready. Even if you are a spring sport official, we would encourage that you do that now. So Pam answered the other question. Can an AD or school help officials go through the eligibility process and cover their fees? Yes, they can. So we would encourage schools or ADs to contact us if that's something that you're interested in doing. We can work out how that would look. So question about pay. So in our case, the vast majority of the time, 95% of the time plus, you are paid by the school that you work for. So if you work at Sartell High School, Sartell is going to, send you a check. Or, if they pay with, say, Arbiter Pay, then you get paid electronically, direct deposit. So that is an option. And then there are a few cases where the association receives the funds from the school and then pays you through the association, although we've recommended that associations not do that, and we recommend that all the payments go to you as the individual so that you can manage your pay and you know where it's coming from. But it would typically come from the schools. And in MYS's case, it's been 20 some years since I've done those, so I'd probably defer to Carolyn on that.
Yeah, so when you get started with basketball, you get connected with any of our 6 assigners. You can work for any 6 of them, or you can work for just one. It's completely up to you. And how that will work is that our assigners submit pay sheets to us on who worked. And so then we make sure we see those pay sheets, and then we pay our assigners then to pay you guys. And however they pay. So maybe they might pay through, some of them might have Arbiter. Some of them might be handing you a check or might be mailing you a check. It just depends on our assigners.
Okay. Okay. Question from somebody from Dave. He registered for softball already. So I would say your next steps at this point. So first of all, congratulations and welcome. Secondly, I would connect with an association near you just to go through the steps that they have. They can assist you with the uniforms and the equipment and getting assignments and those kind of things. So I think it's good to connect with them. As it relates to us, the next steps for you would be taking the concussion module, which you could do today if you wanted. The general officials module, you also could do that today if you so desired. But then after that, the pieces that you would be doing would be the softball specific online rules module and the exam, and those will open up in March. probably March 7th, 8th, somewhere in that neighborhood. And then you have about 2 weeks to do those things. And then during that same time period, during March, we typically in most sports offer clinics where you can go learn about officiating and learn from experienced officials. And we typically have 2 in person at a high school around the state, and then we have 2 on Zoom as well. Those are not required, but obviously highly encouraged for new folks to go to clinics and learn a little bit more about officiating. So the test, when it comes time for you to do those things, all that's on Arbiter on the central hub. Once you register, you'll have access to the central hub, and you'll see there's a deadline, officials deadline form, and it will tell you when the test opens and when it closes. And at the very top of the screen of the central hub, there's a tab that says eligibility. You'll click on that tab, and then that will have all of your online rules modules, your exam, concussion module, and then your training clinic attendance if you do go to those. So Dave, it sounds like you've been working with Gino and Gopher State, so I think just stay in touch with them and just know that all the softball requirements will begin in March. And so it's kind of a similar setup for every sport. You do those base requirements whenever you're ready, concussion, general officials module, and then you wait until right before the season to get going with the exam and the sport specific rules module. And then the rest of it is all connecting with associations, or the schools directly to get assignments and start moving forward with games. So. All right. Again, Pam will get information out to all of the attendees with the recording, the list of association contacts. You can reach out to them, registration information, so forth. And then she will also do the same with the association. So they know that you were on this call tonight, and they know that they can reach out to you and find out if you have any questions or are ready to get started. So first of all, and to conclude this meeting, thanks for taking the time to join us. It can be a scary step to start in something that you maybe don't have as much experience in, but know that there's so many people like Lamar and Carolyn and Tim that are ready to help you and assist you along the way. And they're not going to just leave you. They're going to stick with you for the long term to make sure that you have a successful and enjoyable experience like they did. So thanks to all of you. Congratulations on this first step, and have a great night, and good luck to you. And hopefully we see you out in the court, field, ice, pool, pitch, whatever it happens to be.